Raleigh is building a brand new $3 billion city from scratch. Apex is building a brand new city from scratch, and it will be larger than all of downtown Raleigh. This is Veridea, and it's the biggest real estate story in the Triangle right now. This is a $3 billion development with 8,000 homes and the only freestanding children's hospital in the entire Carolinas. You know, I've been a realtor here for years, and if you're buying anywhere in the Triangle over this next decade, this is something you need to understand. What is Veridea? If you're standing at the intersection of two major highways on the south side of Apex right now, you'd be looking at something huge. About 1,100 acres are being turned into something this area has never seen before. This is a full city being built from the ground up, where every street, every building, and every road is planned around how people actually want to live in today's world. Veridea sits right where US 1, Highway 55, and the new I-540 extension all come together in Apex. And just to give you some perspective, this footprint is actually bigger than all of downtown Raleigh. And that alone should tell you that this isn't your typical development. The company behind it is RXR, based out of New York. And their whole approach is to study where growth is going and then go all in to develop in that area. So when you're looking at the Triangle, Apex checked every box: strong schools, access to health care, close to Research Triangle Park, and growth that's hard to ignore. They did not pick this spot by accident. So when this project was first announced, the number everyone was talking about was $3 billion investment. And that price tag has gotten everyone's attention. But once you see what's actually planned here, it starts to make sense why that number has already gone up. But before going into that, you need to understand how this is even possible. Veridea is the only place in Apex with what's called sustainable development conditional zoning. Basically, it allows for a level of a density and building height that you just don't see anywhere else in our area. So we're talking buildings up to 20 stories and a setup where you can live, work, eat, and spend your weekends all in the same place without needing to get in your car. So the real question becomes, why Apex, why here? And that answer goes back to an announcement that caught a lot of people off guard in this market. Right about now, people usually ask me, okay, Marty, all this sounds great, but where do I even start? And if you're thinking about moving to Apex or anywhere in the Triangle, I help buyers relocate here every single day. So my contact information is in the description below. Call me. Now back to why Apex and why the North Carolina Children's Hospital is a game changer. You know, two hospitals that were rivals for years ended up coming together and picking Apex and changing everything. Last year, UNC Health and Duke Health announced that they're teaming up to build the North Carolina Children's Health Campus right here inside Veridea. And this will be the first standalone children's hospital in our state and the only one like it anywhere in the Carolinas. And honestly, that alone tells you a lot. UNC and Duke don't usually work together. So when they both chose the same location, that's pretty clear signal that they both see something as a clear advantage to this area. The campus itself is going to take up about 230 acres, and that includes a 500-bed hospital, a full outpatient center, and more than 100 beds focused just on child and teen behavioral health. And that's something this region really needs more of right now. It's also being built as a research and an innovation hub, and it will connect with nearby universities and businesses, which means long-term demand, not just for healthcare, but for biotech and specialized services also. From a job standpoint, this is a big deal. They're projecting thousands of jobs coming to Apex in southwest Wake County. Groundbreaking is expected in 2027, and from there, you're looking at about a 6-year build-out. And if you're in healthcare, this hits a little different. I'll explain when we get to who Veridea is actually being built for. Now, this kind of project brings lasting preeminence, and when institutions like this put their name on something, they're shaping what this area is going to look like for decades. But let's get to what's actually being built around it, because the scale of this next part is a lot to take in. So what's being built is a city built built up from the ground up with no old zoning rules and nothing in the way of producing a beautiful, clean, well thought out community. Give it 5 or 6 years and you'll start to see the results right here. We're planning around 8,000 homes across the full build out, and that includes single family homes, townhomes, and mixed use living. So really something for every stage of life. The first residential building broke ground last October, and Lennar is already involved building over 1,000 homes and townhomes. First move-ins are expected around May of 2028. So if you're thinking about new construction and you're okay with waiting a bit, this is where investment-minded buyers can score big gains on appreciation. So getting in early in a community like this is usually where the best opportunities show up. Right now in Apex, most homes are sitting in the low 600s. Buying before everything is finished is a very different move than buying after it's fully built out. Now on the commercial side, the scale matches everything else. They're planning about 12 million square feet of space, and that includes life sciences, industrial, and office. And on top of that, there's another 3.5 million square feet for retail and restaurants. That's where it starts to feel more like a real downtown, not just another suburbs. The center of all this is something called Veridea Place, and it's about 200,000 square feet of shops and restaurants in a walkable setup. Think about a Saturday when you walk out your front door. You might grab a coffee, head to the gym or a run, then sit down to a brunch, stop by the farmer's market, and maybe in at a wine bar that day to meet your friends. And you didn't have to get in your car and drive anywhere. That's the goal here. And they're actually building it to work that way. There's also a Wake Tech campus that is going to be built here. It's called Conlon, Western Wake Campus. It will sit on about 34 acres and is expected to open in 2029. Around 3,000 students are focused on life sciences and healthcare. So most communities build homes first and then hope for the jobs to follow. Here, they're building the workforce at the same time, and that's a very different approach than you'll usually see. So you'll also have an on-site elementary school for hundreds of students and about 25 acres of park space. Every home is planned to be within a 5-minute walk of green space. So when you look at all this together, it starts to feel like a place built around how many people want to live their life day to day. Now, all of this was planned with a very specific timeline, and the most important piece of that is that it's already in place. What are the details of the timeline and the connectivity for Veridea? The most important piece of this whole story is actually the road that gets you there, and it's already open. So phase 1 of the complete I-540 project is an 18-mile extension of the Triangle Expressway, and it opened in September of 2024. So if you talk to anyone living in southern Wake County right now, they'll tell you that that road changed their daily life almost overnight. For a lot of people, it has cut about 30 minutes out of their daily commute. For Veridea, you're now about 20 to 25 minutes from Marti U and Research Triangle Park, and downtown Raleigh is a 15 to 20-minute drive. That connection was missing for a long time in western Apex, and Veridea sits right at the center of it. And for the build-out, things are already moving. Infrastructure work started in late '24, and the first residential building broke ground in October of 2025. Lennar is aiming for the first move-ins in early 2028. The Wake Tech campus is expected to begin to open in 2029. Full build-out goes into the mid-2030s, so yes, it's a 10 to 12-year timeline. But you don't have to wait until 2035 to feel the impact. The foundation is going in right now, and the biggest piece, the connectivity, is already done. The town is also planning BRT, Metro Transit Service, connecting Veridea to the broader transit network. There will be dedicated bike lanes throughout the development, so whether you're driving, biking, or using a car at all, Veridea is built to support your choice. Once you zoom zoom out, this starts to feel bigger than just one development. It starts to show you where this whole area is heading. And depending on who you are, this is going to hit very differently. There are 5 types of buyers who are going to see this in 5 completely different ways. So let's talk about who this community is perfect for. Most developments are built for one type of buyer, not Veridea. It's a plan for 5 very different people. And the fact that it works for all of them is a big part of why this area stands out. If you're in healthcare, especially if you're moving here for the North Carolina Children's Campus, this is one of the most interesting opportunities in the Triangle right now. So living just a few minutes from the major children's hospital with a walkable setup built around it is not something you see often. And if that's your situation, this is worth a serious look. And if you're a family looking for new construction, strong schools, and close access to top health care, Apex has probably already been on your short list. So Veridea is the next step for this area, and it's more walkable. There's an elementary school and about 25 acres of park space built right into the plan right from the beginning. This was planned with families in mind from day one. So if you're in tech or life sciences and you've been priced out of Cary or North Raleigh, or you're tired of paying more and more and still dealing with a bad commute, this changes things. There are about 12 million square feet of commercial space planned here, and it sits right off of I-540, and RTP is only 20 minutes away. Growth in the Triangle is moving west, and this is where it's going. If you're an investor looking at a 5 to 10 year window, the case for early entry is clear and compelling. So you're getting into a master plan community with billions already committed and a major anchor project and a strong access that's already in place. So if you're doing it before the bulk of the vertical builds gets underway, that's usually what investors are trying to find, and it doesn't come around this unique very often. So if you're an empty nester, ready to move away from your yard and the work and the upkeep, and you want something more walkable without jumping into a dense city environment, this is a fit as for you as well. You've got coffee shops, restaurants, green space, and top-level health care all right there. It's a low-maintenance lifestyle with still very high quality. So 5 different buyers, one place, and the reason it works for all of them comes down to a bigger shift happening across this whole area. Why it matters is that for a long time, growth in the Triangle mostly pushed northeast. You can see it in Durham, Chapel Hill, and around the universities. But what's been going on in western Wake County since late 2024 looks very different. Apex used to have a pretty clear reputation. Great place to live, but you worked somewhere else. You worked in Raleigh, RTP, Cary, because the jobs were elsewhere. Well, this changes that equation. When you bring in about 12 million square feet of commercial space, a children's hospital that is expected to create thousands of jobs, a Wake Tech campus, and around 8,000 homes all in one place, that shifts to create community. And that 3 billion number that everybody talked about at the beginning, well, that's already been updated. RXR is now putting a total closer to 7 billion as more of the project has taken shape. So either way, you're looking for a massive investment in one part of our county. The opening of I-540 is what's made all this possible, and that road unlocked this side of western Wake County. And not long after it opened, the hospital was announced, development kicked off, and the first homes started going up. That's what happens when the right infrastructure meets the right investment. I've been doing this long enough to know what this looks like, and this is one of those moments when a market starts to shift and create opportunities. So the conclusion is that people who move early, the families who buy before everything is finished, the healthcare professionals who get in before the hospital opens, and the investors who see where this is going, those are the moves that make the most sense later. They always look obvious after the fact, but if you want to be on the right sight of that, here's what to do next. If you're thinking about a move to Apex or Veridea and want to know where the best entry points are before things ramp up in 2027, email me at marti@martihampton.com. I've also linked a video that covers 10 additional mega projects, also transforming Raleigh itself by 2030. So if Veridea has you thinking about the Triangle's growth story, that video gives you the full regional picture. Thanks for coming by. See you next time.